Good afternoon or evening, and thank you for joining us. Today, you're in for a treat. You will learn firsthand Teepa Snow's positive approach to care, known as PAC. Our Kensington team will share with you and demonstrate the strategy for caregiving for someone challenged with dementia. Leandra Sims will lead the team today, joined by April, Keith, Jacqueline, and of course, our returning guests, Joanne and Shami. Please know a copy of the webinar will be delivered to your inbox to share with friends and family. Today's conversation with Kensington's certified and trained positive approach to care team members is for you, the audience. Please ask your questions with the Q&A function on Zoom. I witnessed this approach firsthand as my father was a resident at Kensington for close to 7 years. Watch and try the advice the team will share with you today. I promise you will witness great results. Kensington delivers their promise to care for their loved ones, our loved ones, as they would their own. I am a testament to them. Join me in welcoming Leandra Sims. Leandra?
Hi, thank you so much. I'm so excited and honored to be, and the word I can mostly think of today is just so grateful to get to support people living with dementia with the Kensington. So I am the KSL Community Support Specialist for Life Enrichment and PAC at the Kensington. And today, um, we're going to talk about everyone's journey. My journey with positive approach to care started back in 2018 when I got certified. And right then and there, my life changed, and I started this new journey to really support people and was inspired to support people that are living with dementia. Ooh, but today we're going to try something new, Susan, which is yikes. So exciting.
I just have to share with the audience that Leandra glows when she talks about her training with positive approach to care, and we actually produced, and it's on the Kensington website. I recommend everybody watch it. We produced a webinar last December about navigating the holidays, utilizing the positive approach to care. And what I'm most excited about today is this really showcases the Kensington team, the Kensington way, the Kensington love, but also they're going to demonstrate. So you can keep this webinar and actually practice these techniques. I mean, this is such a gift. I know it's not the holidays yet, but this is a gift for everybody. So, Leandra, thank you for your commitment. Thank you for being a team member at Kensington. Thank you for sharing this love of this care technique that you're going to give to us today. So without further ado, I'm going to let Leandra take it over, and I will join the audience at the conclusion for our Q&A. So I really encourage everyone. This webinar is for you, and please put your questions in the Q&A, and we will get to as many as we can. So thank you again, and enjoy the webinar. Thanks, Leandra.
Thanks. So the exciting part is that we do have we're inviting Kensington team members from all over the country. We do have 5 different people who are coaches, trainers, engagement leaders, and champion teachers that are from all 8 communities across the country. The 2 communities that you see there, Sierra Madre and Redondo Beach, even have the honor of being PAC designated by positive approach to care, meaning that the team there is being honored for all the skills and their ability to support people living with dementia. So the 5, if I could have the 5 certified team members join me, I would love for them to introduce themselves to you. We're going to go ahead, sorry, and start with Joanne, followed by Keith and Shami, who are our 3 team panelists that will be speaking today. So we'll start with Joanne.
Hello, everyone. My name is Joanne Hubbard, and I am the Associate Executive Director at the Kensington in White Plains, New York. And I'm so happy to be here tonight. I started my journey with seniors as a granddaughter, really. My grandmother influenced me, and we'll talk a little bit more about how I got into PAC in particular. My background is a neurologic music therapist, and I'm really excited to be here. My certification is Positive Approach to Care Trainer, and I've been a trainer since 2017.
Thanks, Joanne. And now maybe Keith can share.
Yeah, sure. Hi, my name is Keith Serrell. I am the Haven manager at Kensington in Redondo Beach. Haven is our uh, neighborhood within the whole community that looks after residents, supports the ones with advanced dementia. I worked as a caregiver. I worked as an activities assistant in many communities, including back in Scotland where I grew up. And then when I moved to California, got back involved in care here and joined Kensington five and a half years ago. And not long after that, I had the pleasure of meeting Leandra. And that's when I first started hearing about positive approach to care and Teepa Snow's methods. I was a great caregiver, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to deny it. I was good at care, but once I met like Leandra and heard about these other approaches that would enhance my care, it really inspired me. And not long after that, I was put forward to do a coach's course. So I'm now a PAC-certified coach, which is great. It means I get to coach my team here and others on just little techniques that really enhance our care. So it's been a big game changer for me learning some of these techniques, and I'd love to share some of them with you in a little bit.
Very exciting to hear about that, Keith. And then Shami, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, so I am Shamaris Mercado, and I am the Life Enrichment Manager at the Kensington White Plains. I'm certified as an engagement leader, and altogether, I'm just the life of the parties. So my journey started 9 years ago when I was in college. I took a class on dementia, and it really piqued my interest. And the Kensington has given me so many opportunities to continue my knowledge and growth on how to engage with residents.
Thank you. And then on our next episode, which is since this is a two-part series, we'll also be having April Vargas. So I'll have her introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is April. I am the Associate Executive Director at Kensington Place in North Atherton, California. I've been in the industry for 15 years and have been blessed to be with the Kensington for the last 4. Caregiving is a journey, and I think everyone brings a special flair when they go to care for their loved one, but PAC is something that will change your life and allow you to connect like never before. So enjoy the journey. You're with the best leaders, and I look forward to connecting.
And then we'll also be talking to Jackie Mills as well.
Hi, my name is Jackie, and I am the Assisted Living Director in Reston, Virginia. And I am certified in 2 capacities. One as a trainer and one as a consultant. And my journey in dementia began about 9 years ago. My dad was diagnosed with significant brain change, and that was, we did everything wrong. We did nothing right. It was everything that I've now learned through PAC as far as how to validate, reflect, be able to step into somebody else's journey, how to have all the PAC skills truly change that relationship. And because of that, I wanted to be able to work with other families and educate, coach, support them on their journeys, recognizing every journey is different, but totally changed that relationship. And I am just so thankful for PAC and for Teepa Snow and the gift that she's given me that I am hopefully giving everybody else I come in contact with.
Jackie and April, we're very excited to have you next week, but this week we're going to be focusing on Joanne, Keith, and Shami's stories, and we'll hear more from you next week. So excited to hear. So I wanted to have a quick Joanne and I, if we can unmute Joanne. So, hi, Joanne.
Hi.
So you and I are what we call the OG PAC certified team. I remember when I was first thinking about getting certified, you said, if you're going to get a certification of any kind, if you're going to get any kind of training, you have to go to a positive approach to care. And you're 100% right, but I'd love to share why did you share that with me?
Absolutely. I'd love to share that. So I had experience, like Keith said, and like Jackie said, I had experience doing this work. And I really felt much like Keith, like, boy, I'm at the top of my game. You can always learn more. You always need to be open to learning more, right? But I felt like I was in a pretty good space. But when I took the positive approach to care training, I thought, oh my gosh, what have I missed all of this time? And what I love about PAC is that you learn skills that are amazingly, once you get it down, it's so easy. It's so easy to engage, and we're connecting with our residents instead of trying to control it, instead of handling an agenda or focusing on a task or focusing on how we're going to get that task done without the resident realizing, we're not manipulating. In the PAC skills, you're learning to not only center on the person, but connect with them in a way that's really meaningful. So for me, learning those skills was the how-to that I felt was missing from a lot of the other trainings that I had done.
So is it just you that learns the skills, or is there something special about your certification that helps you share those skills?
Well, it's not just me. It could only go so far if it was, right? But but as a trainer, my role is to train others and to give them these skills so that they're equipped to be able to engage with our residents and give them their best life. So what I do as a trainer is I will teach those skills to my team, and then my team will go out and execute those skills. And I'm always here for the team to come back and consult with and to role play with and have some experiential learning so that they can practice those skills. So yes, it's not meant to stay with me. It's meant to go further.
What does it feel like? Because it's not meant to stay, and you get to have it go further. What does it feel like when you see those skills, when you see the team learn those skills? Or can you give us an example of one that you've seen that you were like, wow, I shared that skill and now I'm seeing it work? Can you give maybe something like that?
Yeah, sure. There's so many skills that we learn in PAC, but one that I'm particularly fond of is hand under hand. And many of us that have done this work, or maybe have done some caregiving support programs or attended, will have heard of hand over hand. But this is different. This is hand under hand. And that is so important. So I'd love to show you if you
yeah,
have a moment.
Yeah,
I can show you all a skill. It's a little hard, right? Because it's just us here with ourselves, but we can mimic having another person with us. So hand under hand is an approach that you can use when you're connecting with somebody. And I just want to give you a real quick background. Is that for people with dementia, they tend to hold on to strength, but they may not have the skills. So you may lose the skills. So if you have your hand up, if you're using your hand to grasp a utensil, you're using these three fingers, they're skill fingers. But you may have found at some point that you held someone's hand and then you couldn't get out of it because it was so strong. So this skill of hand under hand will help you to get through that. So if you're open to it, I'd love to try it.
Yeah, let's all try it.
So go ahead and take your hand and face it towards your camera. And then I want you to lift your pinky, and we're going to pretend that this is the other person's hand, okay? And we're going to approach them as if we're going into a handshake. And so, hello. And then you loop in. And so now, kind of like butterflies here, and you put your palm under theirs. And so if I am the person living with dementia, I am the person having my hand on top, and I, as the partner in care, my hand is underneath.
But this
Got
is
that?
hand in hand. And then, like you said, I see that your skill fingers right here are able to pick up a spoon, a fork, and support someone with brushing
That's
teeth,
right. That's right.
eating. So have you,
That,
as you taught this skill, have you seen this actually happen in your community?
yes, I have. I've seen it time and time again. But the most important, let me give you an example. So one particular situation that I have had it several times, but this to me is so impactful, is we have residents that sometimes will sundown. Later in the day, they get a little more tired. It's a little more difficult for them to navigate their world, and they may revert to maybe an earlier time. So maybe during the day, like somebody with vascular dementia, I had a resident that had vascular dementia. During the morning, she was really pretty sharp, but in the afternoon, late afternoon, she would be in an earlier time of her life, and she would be looking to get out the door and go pick her kids up from school. And it would be really challenging to be able to redirect her. But with PAC skills, it became less challenging and more rewarding, actually. And so, in doing this training with our team, I was really excited because one of my team members came to me one day and they were like, "Oh my gosh, it worked! It worked!" So they tried hand under hand. And when they were able to get into the hand under hand position and connect with her, they were able to redirect her away from the door. But more importantly, they kind of forgot what they were doing, because they were like, once I was there, I was okay. She engaged with me and we ended up having this conversation. I learned something new about her. And this ended up being, it made my night. It was a great day. It was the best day ever.
So it really went from kind of a conflict like this to a relationship and connection.
It certainly did. And if you allow me, I can share how it was before.
Oh, yeah, that would be amazing.
So before PAC, they would try all the things. They would try to have a conversation. They knew not to orient her, right? They know you're not supposed to do reality orientation and tell her kids are grown. They knew not to do that, but they tried their best. And they would, try and make up a story. Well, the bus is late, oh, someone picked the kids up. Oh, they're not going to come today. They're in the after school. They would make up all kinds of stories. And then if she became really adamant about getting out that door, sometimes they were putting their hands on her physically to be able to kind of tug her away or guide her away from the door. None of it with any malintent, right? They're looking to connect with her, but they did not have the skills.
Mm.
Once they had the PAC skill of using hand under hand and then positive approach, which others will probably touch on today, it went from, oh, I've got to make this task of getting her away from the door and getting her safe. It became, oh, I already know what's going to happen with Mary. I know Mary's already going to go for that door, right? Let me engage her earlier, and let me get in hand under hand so that I can connect with her and redirect her. So for them having those skills, and the most beautiful thing was that in this particular case, she said, "Hey, I actually learned something that I never knew before," and it made my night. So,
so being a trainer and just changing the lives of the team with one simple skill changed everything in your community. And I know I wanted to bring Keith because I know he also shared that he had a very similar experience as he became a coach. So hi, Keith.
Hi there, Leandra.
Hi. So thank you so much, Joanne, for sharing that. But now I would love to talk to Keith a little bit, because Keith, you're something very different. You're a coach, not a trainer, right?
Correct. Yeah, yes. Although
So,
I do a bit of training, but I'm primarily a coach, and I love coaching because that's all about hands-on helping my care partners work with our residents and put PAC into action there and then. And I'm there on the floor. I'm a manager, but I love being with residents. It's great to get out of my office and actually be with the residents and make an impact.
So in your introduction, you said that, you felt like, I love that story. Like I was at the top of my game and then
Yeah.
I learned PAC and I realized, wow, there's so much more to this. And this seems like such a simple change, but what a difference. What an
Yes.
amazing difference. And so I would love to hear kind of a little more about that because I think that that's a shared experience for all of us that have gotten the honor of being certified with the positive approach to care. I think we would all share that same thing. Like, I remember I just cried, Keith, when I first found out. I just cried and said, I need to change everything.
Right.
And I think you're kind of saying the same thing. Like, wow, I really thought I had this down, but something's different now. So I'd love to hear a little more about that.
Yeah, sure. So I think you should do yourself a disservice and us and probably the people watching this service when you say we did everything wrong. We didn't do everything wrong.
Yeah.
We do good care. We help people have, wash and eat and things like that. But we keep coming up against these obstacles where we're seeing these challenging behaviors, where there's expressive communication. And what PAC taught me was just how to approach the care differently. And this is what I coach my staff to do, where you're making a connection. This is what Joanne was talking about, why hand under hand is so good, because it makes a connection. So we get connected to our residents. And something that I used to always do, and I do it as a parent as well. I did it as a parent as well. And PAC is also, for any parents out there, it helped me change my approach to parenting as well. We've all got a ton of tasks that we know we've got to get done, and we've got to help our residents or our loved ones with all these tasks. PAC taught me to not be so obsessed about what the tasks are in the moment, and definitely try and avoid revealing what those tasks are to the person that you're trying to help, because you bombard them with all this information and many of them can't even process that information. Or as soon as I say, hey, Leandra, after breakfast, I'm going to take you through, we're going to brush your teeth and take you to the toilet and have a shower, you're going to say, no, I don't want to do any of that.
And
So
I
I
don't
learned,
even know you. Wait a
oh,
minute. Who are
exactly.
you?
Exactly. So PAC really taught me about rethinking how I approached my task list, so to speak, and how I coach my others to approach their task list, which is to we know our agenda, we know what our tasks are, but we don't want to reveal our agenda.
So you're saying in PAC we use this word, it's called agenda,
Yep.
right? That's our agenda.
It's
And
our
it's
to-do list.
all the lists of all the things that we have to get done. And by the way, I totally agree with you. My parenting skills got much better when I learned PAC. Um, I owe PAC a lot for my son. But this task or this agenda, this list of things that we need to get done. And then what do we end up doing? We end up shoving it in someone's face. So I take this
Yes.
agenda. Today is the day. Today you're on my list. I have a list. It's a shower day and it's your day to shower. Today's your shower day. And then what happens after that?
Um, you get into all sorts of difficulties. They close down. They don't want to go. You have this well-intentioned battle to get somebody through into the shower room. They're screaming. They're maybe hitting you. They're cursing at you, and everybody gets very wet. And you do the worst shower in the history of showers, and nobody's clean at the end of it either.
But you know what, Keith? I travel a lot for work and I think about that all the time. What would it be like if I'm in this hotel room? What would it be like if someone walked in here and said, I'm here to give you a shower? That must feel really, really hard.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah.
do think it's really, but if someone walked in and said, Hey, I've brought you a nice cup of coffee, I would say, Come on in.
Yeah, yeah. And that is the whole thing that Tipa taught me. It's about making that positive connection with somebody before you even begin to go towards a task. And it's really been such a changer. How I walk in the morning and greet my residents is very different from how I would have done in the past. It really allows me to get down there and make that connection, talk about something, and then wander off, and I've still not revealed what we're going to do. But we end up, lo and behold, we end up in the bathroom, and oh, look where we are. And we go through the process of helping somebody get onto the toilet or into the shower or brush their teeth. And it's a step-by-step thing rather than giving them this whole agenda that they're probably going to say no to.
Yeah, because that's another big thing, right? If you ask someone a yes or no question, you have 50% chance of hearing what?
No, definitely not. No, if they're being polite.
You know, if they're being like, and you know what? Who asked that yes or no question and put those odds into place is us,
Yes,
right? So it
exactly.
is really important. So just kind of, I just wanted to kind of make sure everybody kind of caught that skill that you shared, Keith, so wonderfully, is that you have to know your agenda, but you don't show your agenda. So you keep that agenda kind of under wraps, because if I show my agenda and I put it in your face, it's just going to create tension between the two of us. And once we break our relationship, it's broken, and it can take me months to repair that beautiful relationship. And it's really
Yeah,
important that I hold it.
yeah,
Now, sounds
definitely.
like what you really gained was the understanding of how important connection and a relationship really are when it
Yeah,
comes to
yeah.
care.
And the fascinating thing about, like what Joanne said earlier, she said, once learned, it seems so easy. And PAC can really be like that. Once, like now, I always share this story. All my friends, like when I go to the pub, because I'm Scottish and that's what we tend to like to do. When I go to the pub and meet my friends, I'll shake their hand, and I do actually, and I'll slip into that hand under hand thing. And it feels comfortable, and you can see them thinking it's comfortable for a second, and then we're all like, "Whoa, wait a minute, what's going on here?" kind of thing. But you know, it is so natural, and it's great. It makes a connection. So
Oh, I love that. I definitely need to join you at the pub doing hand under hand. I have to see this for myself at some
yeah,
point.
yeah,
Um, but I just wanted to also thank you, Keith. And now I was going to invite Shamaris to, I feel like I could talk to you forever, but I want to make sure we get to hear Shami, who is the life of the party, as she shared, to come and talk to us about her certification, which is an engagement leader. So, Shami, your name is Shamaris, but you usually go by Shami for your residents. Yes?
Yeah, because it's a little more fun for them to say, and it's fun to always be like, just chamois cloth. That's all you gotta know. Chamois cloth.
So, Shami, engage. I happen to know because I also work and support the Positive Approach to Care. I happen to know that engagement leader is Teepa Snow's favorite certification, and she always teaches that certification. So I was wondering, was Teepa the one who taught you and your certification?
She taught me the entire time, the whole certification process. It was her that I was with.
I am not surprised because I think that at the forefront of PAC is a very different way of looking at things, but engagement and is really, really important. And so why do you think that this is so important and that it's Tipa's favorite?
So I feel like for engagement leaders and life enrichment in general, but that cert, it's you're packaging all of these skills that we all learned. So you're packaging it all together and really delivering it to the resident all day long,
Mhm.
through programming, through every interaction we have with them, being activities all day. So it's like that really cute little Christmas package, and we're just giving it to them every day. Pack every day.
So when you talk about programming, I think since your certification, you really have changed your perspective on, because I think sometimes think, oh, activities is a little bit of an afterthought, or yeah, that's, you do the music and happy hour. But I feel like the engagement leader or as an engagement leader, it's so much more and so important for our residents. Can you talk a little about why it's so important to you, to this engagement?
Yeah. So Before, I used to think that, like activities was kind of just, we're the showrunner, we're just the person to look like a little bit of crazy in the front of the room all the time. But I learned that it's so much more than that. It's so much more than just entertainment or just things like that. It's connecting with these residents and giving them purpose and meaning in their lives. A lot of the times people think just because someone is living with brain change or dementia that they can't enjoy the things that they used to, or even learn new skills or try new things. So,
Yeah, that can be a big stigma when it comes to people living with brain change, is that oh, it doesn't matter, it doesn't remember. Does that just, when you have that kind of interaction and you hear that, how does it make you feel?
it happens quite a bit sometimes with some family members. They'll come up to me and they'll say, Joanne used to love doing this, but I don't think she's going to want to do it anymore.
Mhm.
And so I would be like, oh, well, let's try a modified version of that and see, where we can go from there. And I have a story of a resident that I did do that to, if you'd like to hear it.
I would love to hear. I'd love to hear you were able to use the engagement certificate, like the engagement to change someone's life. I'd love to hear about that.
So we have a resident who it's a bit difficult to get to her to participate in programs. And not that she never participated, but it was a little harder to get her going. And so learning through her family and her reading about her background a little bit, I learned that she was a history teacher. And so one day it hit me. I was like, okay, purpose and meaning. What would give, this resident some purpose and meaning today? So I was like, oh, let me print out something and maybe she would check it for me, read through it, maybe correct some grammar errors, something. So I printed out this essay and I sat with her. And now, mind you, no one thought she can really do what I was about to do. So I went up to her and I said, hey, is it true you're a history teacher? I was wondering if you can really help me with this. So I gave her this. I said it was an assignment for school, and she took it. She read it over and over again. She was marking the paper up, and everybody was amazed. They were like, what?
You had a lot of notes for your
Yeah.
essay, huh?
And then what's good is that it even carried past that. Like, because of that experience, we learned that maybe we could carry this to other programs. So from learning that, I also learned that Shabbat was a very big thing in her life. And after we learned that, she started to lead the Shabbat programs with me. So I would give her, the book, and she would read all the prayers with me. And, they didn't think she was able to do this, but she was. And it became such a topic of conversation between me and the family as well. They were like, wow, I can't believe you were able to give her this purpose and this meaning.
Hmm. So, more than anything, kind of the skill that you're sharing today isn't so much a skill like the hand in her hand or the agenda. This is actually the skill of recognizing that people living with dementia are living with dementia, and that it's really, really important to think of how, um, while we have all this purpose and meaning, especially from PAC, right? Um, it's important that we give that purpose and meaning to people living with dementia, and we sort of overcome this stigma that people living with dementia aren't looking for that, when I feel like I'm finding every day that that is the opposite. And that, boy, do they want to help. That is my go-to action starter. I could use your help. And they are so ready to help me. Yes, let me help you. And it's anything from the best advice that I've ever gotten in my life, which, by the way, is a resident once told me, I think you should find out what you need to do and then ask people how to help you. And I have used that in positive approach to care the entire time. And it's actually from this beautiful resident that told me, just think of what you want to do and ask people for help. So simple.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's more than just, it's time for them to go to the bathroom or to go eat or to go take a shower. Like, what about everything in between?
Yeah, that's not
So,
what I'm
yeah.
thinking about on my weekend. I'm not thinking, oh, I just woke up on Saturday. I think the two things that I'm going to do today are go to the bathroom and take a shower. I think that those are my two go-tos today. No, I'm thinking, should I go to yoga? Should I go to am I going to see my family? Do I need to get my house clean? I bet I should do some chores, but not once do I ever consider those two things as important, right? And
Yeah.
I think people living with dementia feel the same way. So, oh, Susan is popping back on. Hi, Susan.
I am popping back on, and I just have to add to what Shammy said and what Leandra said, that when my father lived at Kensington, I witnessed he was like a changed person. He was so much more content. He wasn't agitated. He wasn't anxious. And my dad used to have a little company, and the team, the leaders at Kensington, invited him to every one of their meetings. And
Oh,
and just like the history teacher, they really learned about my father, and they would invite him to come in. Joanne witnessed it. She was there, and they would invite him to come in, and he would take a pad of paper. He was unable to write, but boy, did he feel purpose. And he felt the connection, and it meant so much to him. So really, I just wanted to reiterate, connecting purpose and meaning is so important. And I have witnessed firsthand, and the hand to hand with Joanne. I love Keith at the pub. Make new friends. But that whole shower thing is it's all the approach. And I think we've all learned so much today. But I did want to just share with the audience, I wanted to define happy hour. Because when we first moved my father to Kensington, they said, you should come by happy hour. You should come to happy hour. And I thought, oh, where have I moved him to? Well, I went to happy hour. It's at 4 o'clock every day in every community, and there is purpose and there is meaning behind happy hour to connect the community. But it's not a happy hour that you would think about going to the pub with Keith. It's a happy hour to bring all the residents and the care partners together for music and light bites and mocktails, and everybody is singing and everybody is doing karaoke and people are dancing. And it's a way to get everyone engaged before they go to dinner hour. And I'm just so impressed that Kensington has live music every day because, as you all know, the studies that have been done by AARP and UCSF Department of Aging, music is such an important component to the dementia community. So I just wanted to thank everybody, but I also wanted to get to some questions that we have here. But I'm going to start with one question, and I'd love for everybody to answer this or just give a couple 2 cents. These are questions submitted at registration, and then we have a few questions that have just come in from Monica and John, and I'll get to those in 1 second. But what specific techniques can a caregiver use in their visits? So I'm going to visit my dad. So what would be like your just a couple of techniques that would be easy for me to utilize in my visits? Because one of the questions that came in was from a care partner who has her mother in memory care. She always wants to go home. So if you just have a couple suggestions for when you're visiting your loved one in memory care. I'll start with Keith.
Hi. So I'm in the advanced dementia neighborhood. So our visitors, obviously for a lot of them, it's challenging because they're coming in and seeing their loved one in a very changed state from before. But what I always share with visitors is come in, and it really doesn't matter if your mother, father, husband, wife, whoever it is doesn't recognize you. You're going to get down and you're going to make that positive connection with them. So come in, and Tipa talks about visual, verbal, and touch as the three steps of it. So I would always say, make sure your first step is to get that visual connection with the person. Then you can move on to the verbal connection, and then touch, like the hand under hand, will just be so wonderful to do with your loved one when you're visiting. So that's my first tip for people when visiting loved ones in a community setting.
And for the audience, we'll see you next week, but we're going to do a little test that you have practiced hand under hand. So that's your homework. Joanne, do you have something to add?
Sure. So
You're muted for some reason.
I would say when you're coming to visit, sometimes it's helpful to have something tangible. As Keith started to say, TIPA teaches us to do visual first, then verbal, and then touch. So don't rely so much on conversation. If you don't bring something tangible, then you're relying on conversation. And that can be really challenging for people that are losing some of their language or are losing both expressive and receptive communication. So I would also recommend that you get rid of the word remember when you're engaging with your loved one. And so if you were to, let's say, bring some photos, maybe some photos of when you were younger, maybe maybe some family vacations or whatever, instead of saying, do you remember, you can just say, you know, I brought pictures of when we went to Muir Woods. This touches me so deeply because I remember how it made you feel and the fun we had when we would play in the woods, whatever it is, right? So you can speak to that. It gives you something tangible to work on. It helps you to have something other than language to rely on. And using the techniques that we talked about with positive approach, with using that visual, verbal, touch approach in that order, that will help you to gain that connection. And to go back to how Shami started with saying, hey, I could use some help with this. If you use a positive action starter like that, hey, I want your feedback on this. I remember this was so important to me. You could even just use something like that. It seems simple, right? But you're taking some of those obstacles that Keith was talking about at the top of this seminar. You're taking some of those obstacles out of the way, and you're creating an opportunity for success for someone that's living with brain change.
You know, that was the hardest thing for me is we don't always just live in the present because we reflect and we share the past. That was so fun going to the lake 2 years ago. Gosh, you were just the best grandfather. You taught the kids how to tube or whatever, and then there's no future. I'm so excited about. And so it's just present. So I think that advice is spot on, actually. And Shami, do you have something to add?
Yes. So my tip, it's my go-to, is comedy and humor will get you everywhere. And to always start with a compliment. That's how I start almost every interaction with any resident I come by. Wow, I really like your blouse today. And then that can lead into something else. So that's my tip. It's like the easiest way to start off a connection.
And how about our wonderful host, Leandra?
I would just add that I love that at the Kensington, the activities are not off limits for family members. And so, as Susan mentioned, music is the gift. It is the gift that people keep throughout the progression. It is the most beautiful, wonderful gift. And there is so much music or life engagement going on all over the community. And so I would actually also say, join in, play bingo, do what they're successful in. And be willing to shift the game a little bit, right? Because reading the newspaper can be about, sometimes for me, ripping the newspaper. And sometimes dominoes can be about lining them up and knocking them down more than lining up the numbers. So think about how you can shift what it is you're doing, because the ultimate goal for me is to have them feel good in their day, to take them out of this, what am I doing? Where am I going? What's happening next? To here's a great routine. Let's be in this great routine, and I'm going to join you in that routine. And that is what's so amazing about Kensington, is that you're allowed, go on the walks, go on the outings, go everywhere, stay in that routine and enjoy their routine with them.
And live in the moment, live in the immediate present, which is, Joanne, it's challenging. I can't tell you. I would go visit and I'd be like, oh, remember, because you that's what you talk about, is you talk about memories. So thank you for that advice. Can anybody get PAC trained?
Oh, that's a great question. Yes, the positive approach to care is open to anyone getting trained. There is a website. We will share that out with everybody. There's everything from just I believe there's family councils you can join. There's a free or a complimentary consultation that you can have. It's about 30 minutes with a PAC team member. I think there is also champion courses where for just maybe 2-hour courses you can take. There is so many levels. Or to become, I would advise anyone who's supporting people living with dementia, family member, anyone to go to get it certified. There's 5 different types, and so talking to Positive Approach to Care about which one would be the best for them. It's just really, and for me, I'm seeing PAC spread all over the world, and I'm not surprised, because it really truly works. And you're seeing it pop up in Malaysia, Australia. You're seeing it because it makes such a difference. And so I would say, let's teach the whole world. Let's change the stigma. Let's change everyone's life that's living with dementia.
Thank you so much. So we will include that link for all of our guests on today, and you can certainly share that with friends and fans. Joanne, I have a parent who lives in memory care that every time I see them, it's very difficult for me to process, but they say, I just want to go home. You can't leave me here. Any suggestions?
Oh, sorry, could you just repeat that?
My parent lives in a memory care community. Every time I visit, it's extremely difficult. They only say they want to go home. How can you leave me here? And it's a very difficult experience to visit.
Well, first, I want to acknowledge how hard that is as a child to hear that. I just want to say that right up front. That is not easy. It's not easy to hear that. And you've chosen the Kensington for your parents. So obviously, you've thought long and hard about where to go for support. I think, again, if you come kind of armed with some things to do, and you come armed with some positive action starters, which you can learn more about, and because there's more than what we've just said here today. These things will help you to navigate your visit. So as Keith talked about, you're going in, we have an agenda, but we hide it. So it needs to be about that connection. So maybe your hidden agenda could be that when you go visit, you're going to have a few things in mind that you can maybe engage with your parents, so that you're not left with the open conversation of, well, what am I doing here? Why would I be here? Why are you leaving and I'm not leaving with you? This doesn't make any sense. How could you do this to me? And I think there's some strategies about how to exit, so that if this comes up when you're leaving, that's important. And your team can help you with how to navigate that. But I think when you come, for example, if you come in and you may need to get in a different space in your mind before you even walk in the door. I'm a big fan of taking a breath and clearing my mind out a little bit. So maybe we could do that even right now. Just breathe in and out, and breathe in and out. And to go into that visit with a clearer mind, and again, if you come in with some items that you can talk about and some things that you can do, that will keep you more focused, keep your parent more focused on something else, rather than focusing on why would I be here. As Leandra shared, at the Kensington, we have a lot going on. There's a lot of activities that you can engage in. But even if you're not somebody that wants to engage in a group or engage in a structured program, there's so many spaces that you can use in our communities. There's outdoor space, it's very beautiful. There's some quieter spaces like a library. So you can join in the activities, which are always abundant everywhere. All the Kensingtons, we have the same model. So they're abundant, they're engaging, they're diverse, and they're preference driven for our residents. So it's dynamic, our life enrichment program, because it always has to tie back to the meaning and purpose of our current residents. So you may have a whole group of residents that really love art, but then after a period of time, if it turns out that they're really, maybe they're people that really enjoy lectures, the programming is going to change. So you're welcome to join your loved one in those programs. And then that will help you to see some of the connections with other people that are living in the same environment and other visitors. And then it's going to feel more like home. So if you go, and I think, Susan, you can speak to this better than anyone on this call, because you, as a family member, you experienced that yourself, where you would experience it as a daughter of, and as a daughter of a resident and a daughter of a visitor. So you melded all those together, and engaging in life in the community was really important. And it helped you, it helps people. I'm not going to say what helped you. It helps to be able to have that sense of security around you. These are people I know. These are people I like. These are people I enjoy being with. So that was a really long answer, but hopefully, hopefully it made some sense of making those connections and going in with a cleaner slate of your mindset, because it can be really easy to come in with that visit with the anxiety of, oh gosh, they're going to ask me again why I'm here.
And I think we just answered two questions. One from Monica about, don't leave me here. Where are you going? Take me home. And then the other one about, how do I handle difficult goodbyes? And I'll tell you what I did, because my dad did say, where are you going? I want to go with you. And I tried that a couple times and decided that wasn't going to work. But I asked the team at Kensington to help me. I said, this is going to be hard. Dad's going to follow me to the door and try to get in the car with me. And so they distracted and took him. And all of a sudden I'd look over there and he was playing a game, or he was engaged in something that was important to him, the connection, the purpose. So I would recommend that wherever your parent is, but the team there should be able to assist you in any type of difficult transition that you may have. And then I'm going to address one more question, and then anything we didn't get to, I will make sure we get to next time. But maybe we can start with Shami and Keith, but does this change at all? I know Kensington has a few levels of memory care, which is why we chose it for my father, because we knew we'd never have to move him again. But does this change when they don't recognize you? They don't have any idea who you are. They don't know the family. Does any of this PAC advice change? Start with Shami.
So, does it change? Not necessarily. Whenever I go into an interaction with a resident, I'm not going in there with the mindset that they know exactly who I am, and, they should know who I am from yesterday. I did everything for them yesterday. I'm not going into that. So I'm always going in, like Joanne said, with a clear mind and understanding that I'm probably going to reintroduce myself all over again. And that is okay. That is fine. And sometimes I just learn a new thing about a resident every time. I started with a different prompting question and I learned something new. So it doesn't really change. It just like you just learn skills to approach it in a more positive way.
And the follow up to that question, then I'll let Keith go and Leandra chime in. So the hand under hand, can it suddenly just change a relationship from combative to harmonious, or is hand under hand, is that more of something you do every time because it's the touch that you can, the connection? Keith?
I would say hand under hand definitely can transform almost any situation, and we use it. But there, PAC's general approach works everywhere in life, but you will have to adapt to some people. There's people in my haven that hand under hand doesn't work with. It doesn't work for everybody. They do not want that touch. Okay, so it's important to remember that. But yes, go with it, and it will. You can use it. As I said earlier, I use PAC approach with my children. I use it with my wife. I use it with my employees. It works with everybody in different aspects. So there are some things that you'll carry into every part of somebody's journey with dementia at different stages. There's things that I never do. A big thing that TIPA teaches us is to introduce ourselves. Hi, I'm Keith, and you are. But I'm not going to say that to somebody that I know does remember exactly who I am, because if I was to say that to them, they'd be like, "What the heck? Why is Keith reintroducing myself? Does he think I'm silly or something like that?" It would undermine them, kind of thing. So there are little things that you change depending on where somebody's in their journey, but the overall principle that making a connection before you do something is, to me, is at the heart of the PAC approach. Yeah.
And Leandra, since we're running out of time, it's actually right on the nose. Would you like to summarize and give a little peek into next week? And please remember to share the registration link. You will get that, and also the webinar. But go ahead, Leandra, close this out.
Oh, I just wanted to say again that I'm so grateful. This has been so wonderful to get to talk to people. Zoom's amazing. It's allowing us to talk to people all over the country at all the Kensingtons. And my hope is that if you take anything out of today, I think what I heard echoed over and over was that connection and relationship are at the heart of supporting someone living with brain change. And once you break that, if you break your relationship, it can take a long time to repair. And PAC teaches us essentially skills, hand under hand, agenda, don't show your agenda, as well as making sure people's lives have purpose and meaning. They teach us those skills so that we can maintain this beautiful relationship. And that's what it is. It's about not doing to the person, because whether you're living with brain change or not, to Keith's point, this will work with anybody, because whether you're living with brain change or not, we can't do to people. We have to do with, we have to support together. And it just changes everything about what you do, because you're in agreement. You're agreeing to do everything that is happening. And it could be the smallest itty bittiest change. And I'll be like, is that really going to make the big, that doesn't, I remember thinking, is that really going to change everything? And the answer is yes. Validating someone can change everything. Doing a visual, verbal, then a touch, it can change everything about your entire interaction. So I highly advise you just try it, because if what you're doing is not working, it only makes sense to give some of these things a try. Super, super excited to go into next week's webinar, and we're going to talk to a champion teacher as well as a consultant, which are the two certifications we haven't talked to yet. And I'm really excited to highlight how amazing it is that Kensington supports us with all these different certifications, and allows us all to be these amazing supporters for our residents in such different ways. So I am just, again, super grateful. Give it a try. Why not? What have you got to lose, right? Give it a try.
And I'm going to leave with 6 words, but first of all, I'm going to wish everyone a great afternoon on the West Coast, and a great evening on the East Coast. But remember these words: clarify, simplify, connect, not direct, skills and guidelines, and you'll hear more from us next week. Thank you so much. Have a nice evening.